evening, everybody. Welcome to the Freedom Fire Podcast, where we want to stoke the flames of freedom every single day. My name is Kendall Bowman, and ladies and gentlemen, we have updates. Yes, that's right. We've got updates on, well, the impending World War III. World War III was trending on Twitter all day today. I made a video this morning specifically about the drone strike that happened in northern Jordan today against U.S. Military troops there that were stationed there, killing 3 of them, injuring many more. I believe it was up to 30 that were injured. We're on the brink of World War III, and now we have updates that it's gotten a whole lot worse. We got this story from Sky News. Biden faces pivotal moment as he weighs retaliation for soldier deaths in the Jordan drone strike. Oh gosh, ladies and gentlemen, this guy can barely finish a sentence. This guy can't even find himself off of a stage. And this is the guy that's going to lead us through World War III. Okay, all right, here we go. Let's get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. As early as tonight, that is tonight, January 29th, 2024. As early as tonight, President Joe Biden will authorize U.S. military action in the Middle East. Now, we have already heard reports that there are boots on the ground in Yemen. Now, the conflict in Yemen has been going on for a long time now. It was a civil war that both the U.S., the Saudis, and the Iranians were involved in. They were all kind of had their proxy hands in this little civil war in Yemen. And now, of course, it would seem that just like in Afghanistan, just like in Iraq, just like in Syria, now we are involved, boots on the ground in Yemen. And of course, we could see that in many other places if Biden so chooses tonight. It is likely to be one of the most consequential decisions of his presidency, at stake the credibility of American deterrence and the teetering stability of the region. Let's be honest, it was never really stable to begin with, but it was a heck of a lot more stable than it was under Donald Trump than under any other president in my lifetime. I'm 26 years old, guys. Okay, I'm a pretty young guy, but I've been on this earth for 26 years, and the Middle East has been a war zone for my entire life, except under Donald Trump. One guy for 4 years was able to bring the stability to a higher level in the Middle East. He was the one guy. Let's continue. Ever since the game-changing Hamas attacks on Israel, excuse me, guys, I got a bit of a cough. Ever since the game-changing Hamas attacks on Israel last October, this always volatile part of the world has seemed on the brink of a much larger conflict. The American president will hope his choice in the coming hours will deter any such escalation. It may do the opposite. It will absolutely do the opposite. There were airstrikes that Joe Biden ordered just last week against the Houthi rebels, okay, in Yemen, against the Houthi rebels. Those airstrikes told the Yemenis, okay, we're going to escalate. The Houthi rebels escalated after those airstrikes. These are not people that, okay, just to give you an idea of who we're dealing with, okay? These are Islamic extremists. It should be blatantly obvious by now, after we've been fighting against Islamic extremists for over 20 years now, okay? Let me give you an example of what exactly we're fighting against, okay? The Soviets, back when the Soviet Union was still around, the Soviet Union decided that they were going to invade Afghanistan. It did not go well for them, just like, of course, it did not go well for us while we were there. One of the generals of the Soviet Union at the time stated, and I quote, "How do you fight someone who looks down the barrel of a gun and sees paradise?" End quote. And I have to agree. How do you fight them? Because no matter what you do, you could just drop nukes everywhere. And they're going to find some way to escalate. I mean, they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. Because to them, dying for their so-called God, sorry, I'm a Christian. I don't see Allah as God. He's just not to me. I don't see that. To me, he's a demon, personally. But I digress. I'm not here to debate religious stuff. But to them, dying for their perceived God is going to get them into paradise, is going to get them into heaven. That's their one-way ticket to heaven. They are going to escalate no matter what you do. Okay? So let's continue. America's enemies have crossed the line. Inaction is not an option. But overreaction could light the tinderbox of Middle East tensions and ignite a regional war. For weeks, Iranian-backed militia have been launching attacks on U.S. assets without inflicting casualties. That changed when a drone penetrated defenses at a desert base in Jordan and reached a tent full of sleeping American soldiers. I talked about that this morning. Killed 3 soldiers. 3 are dead and more than 40 injured in the attack, blamed on a militia group with close ties to Iran. Now, what was the backlash of this as of today? What is the thinking in terms of our leadership in government on this? Well, if Lindsey Graham is any idea of our leadership's mindset, we're in trouble. This is a post on X from Tucker Carlson where he calls Lindsey Graham and Senator John Cornyn effing lunatics because they said, hit Iran now, hit them hard. That is a direct quote from Lindsey Graham on his X account. And from Senator John Cornyn, he said, target Tehran, which of course is the capital city of Iran. Ladies and gentlemen, our leadership is driving us directly into a world conflict. Now, let me give you my definition of world conflict. World war does not always mean that superpowers are fighting against each other. It is simply that there is war all over the world. Now, it is very possible, seeing as how Iran has been providing weapons, providing drone technology to Russia to aid Russia in their war against Ukraine, it is logical to think that if Iran were to be attacked by the United States, that Russia would then help Iran in their war against the United States. Now you have 2 regional superpowers against another superpower, against a world superpower in the United States. Then, of course, you have the possibility of Venezuela invading their neighbor Guyana, which they've already stated that they want to do. There's another war. Then, of course, you still have Israel and Palestine. You've got all of the Islamic caliphates, the Islamic nations that will just rise up and just go after Israel and the United States if this continues to go ham sandwich as it is right now, as it continues to escalate. Ladies and gentlemen, we're right there. And just to give you an image of just how bad it is. Once again, let's go back to this right here. This right here. This is, ladies and gentlemen, this is the guy. This senile old walking corpse is the guy that's going to make the decision of whether or not we go into World War III. The animated corpse is making the decisions. I hope you Democrats are proud of yourselves. I hope you're proud of yourselves because we're screwed. I mean, we are so screwed, guys. I mean, I don't want to be black-pilled. I don't want to be doomer, but our military is not ready. They're not ready for a world war. They are not ready to operate on a multi-front war against Iran, against other parts, other militias and other forces that are operating in the Middle East, possibly against Russia, possibly against China, possibly in South America against Venezuela. These are multiple fronts all over the world. And not to mention the fact we are still on the cusp of a civil war here in the United States between the Fed and Texas and possibly other states that could get involved. Now, of course, we might have seen a de-escalation on that front. I do want to go ahead and pull up this story here and just share this with you guys because I think that this is important. Okay, hopefully I can increase the size here so we can better see the news story here. 18,000 plus Border Patrol agents support Texas and blast the Biden administration. This is from American Military News. The National Border Patrol Council issued a statement last week in support of the steps the Texas National Guard has taken to secure the southern border and blasting President Joe Biden's administration for unleashing a catastrophe on the United States. So we might, because of course this could just be rhetoric from the Border Patrol Union. They very well could still just follow Joe Biden's orders blindly if he were to give them. Okay, so we very well might have seen a de-escalation at the southern border between the Biden administration, or at least between Border Patrol and the National Guard. And it would appear, if this is true, and it's not just rhetoric from Border Patrol, that the Biden administration is completely powerless in this situation, okay? And the Texas National Guard is basically going to have authority now. The National Guard of Texas and these other states are going to have authority at the southern border, and they're going to be able to bring down some of the psychosis that the Biden administration has caused at our southern border. So the massive amounts of sex trafficking, of women and children, the massive amounts of trafficking of of illegal drugs that are coming into the United States, killing tens of thousands of American citizens. Ladies and gentlemen, it would appear that we might have a slight de-escalation. But, however, back to the craziness that is the worldwide war that could very well begin tonight. More from our supposed leadership. From the post-millennial, Nikki Haley claims retaliatory airstrikes in the Middle East would be actually preventing war. Ladies and gentlemen, you can't make this up, man. You can't make this up. Where do we go from here when this is the level of thinking in our government? They legitimately believe, or at least Nikki Haley does. I wouldn't be surprised if the doddering old corpse that's walking around in the White House also believes this, by the way. Nikki Haley actually believes that retaliatory airstrikes in the Middle East would actually prevent war. Guys, these are groups that we were at war with for 20 years in Afghanistan. We went to war with groups just like this in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria for 20 years. And they didn't stop. They didn't just give up. They didn't just lay down for the almighty U.S. military. That's not what happened. Yeah, there were some times, especially under Donald Trump, where these groups, they didn't step out of their little caves that they were hiding in because Donald Trump didn't play that game. He was absolutely kicking their teeth in, okay? Under Donald Trump, this type of stuff was not a problem. This World War III news, this Civil War news, this was not happening. There was not war all over the world because Donald Trump was not playing games with that crap. If you wanted to be a tyrant, you weren't doing it under Donald Trump because he was going to bring the hammer down on you. He was going to destroy your economy by bringing sanctions on you. There was going to be military action. He freaking threatened to nuke Beijing and Moscow. Like that's crazy. But it worked. And the tyrants were under control. And Donald Trump followed the old adage of a former president. He walked softly, and he carried a very big stick. But now, this is what we get. Leadership that thinks that hitting countries with airstrikes somehow prevents war or escalation of war. You're doing the escalation. I don't know what to say. Like, what do we do with that? What do we as American citizens do with dinguses like this in charge? Well, I tell you what we can do. One, we as American citizens need to be taking responsibility in our own lives. We need to be bettering ourselves as human beings because ultimately politics is downstream of culture. Okay? The only way that you change culture is by changing the people that are within the culture. So each and every one of us needs to be looking in the mirror every single day and deciding, what kind of person am I going to be? Am I going to be a moral person or am I going to be a garbage person? Am I going to be a moral person who treats people right, treats people with respect, loves other people, despite what they might think differently than me? And I'm talking about people who are on the right and the left. Okay? We all got to do this. If we want to change this culture and we want to have a more peaceful culture. Now, I'm not saying you just let people walk all over you. If someone, physically attacks you, obviously defend yourself. Everyone, in my opinion, everybody should be packing at all times. Lord knows I am. Okay? So, ultimately, we want to change the culture, we must change ourselves. And then by changing ourselves, we will change our culture, and then we will change our politics. Then, while we are in the process of doing that, we have to start the process of changing our leadership. I've talked about this for many different videos now in a row. The way that you start the process of changing your leadership from garbage leadership to good leadership that's going to make changes, it starts with voting. Guys, voting is the start of the process. It is the beginning of the process. You go on election day or you do your early voting, whatever, you go and you vote. You get your candidate, the right candidate elected that's going to make some changes and fix some things. No candidates are ever going to fix all your problems. It's just not going to happen. There's always going to be issues. There's always going to be problems. Excuse me. But the right candidates can fix some things or can fix many things, the majority of things even. Never going to fix everything, but they can fix a lot of things, okay? If you get the right candidates in, okay? Then, once you get the right candidates in, they can begin to start implementing policies that will eventually, down the road, make changes that you can physically see with your own eyes. It's a process, ladies and gentlemen. It's a process. It takes a little bit. That's a democratic system for you. Yeah, I get it. We're a constitutional republic, okay? But we have a democratic system that we use to elect our officials. That democratic system is a process. If you want to see change, you can't just get caught up on the fact that, oh, we got to go vote, Oh, well, they're just going to cheat. They're just going to steal the election. No. Go, overpower the system, take all your friends, take all your family, register them to vote and say, oh, yeah, we're going to go get pizza or we're going to go get food, whatever. But first, we're all going to go vote. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to see change, if you want to see change in this country, it has to start with you. And you have to make a conscious decision to say, I don't care what the media says. I don't care what the polls say. I'm going to go and I'm going to try. I'm going to try to make my voice heard with my vote. I don't care if they say, oh, Donald Trump's a landslide win. No, we're not just going to say, oh, well, I guess he won. I don't have to go vote now. No. We are going to leave no doubt. We're going to leave no doubt that our candidates, the ones that we want to win, the right candidates, are in office so that we can finally get this warmongering garbage out of our country, out of our government, out of our leadership, and we can finally get back to let's be honest, country's never going to be normal again. A lot of the damage has been done. But some semblance of normal, I believe we can get back to it. Some kind of semblance of normalcy. Some kind of semblance of peace. To where we're not having to worry about World War III every 5 days at this point. Because that's what it feels like. Every 5 days. Every week or so. Every other week, every other month. Oh, well, World War III is trending on Twitter again. Joe Biden screwed something up. He left our troops out to dry once again, and they got blown up in a drone strike, and now we got to go fight Iran. Even though Joe Biden's the one that left our troops out to dry in the first place, so it's their fault that they got hit. I mean, what the frick did you think was going to happen? It's a war zone. There's terrorists there who want to kill our soldiers, and you just left them there for no reason, with no goal, with nothing to protect, with nothing to do, with no mission. Of course. Of course. Of course there was an attack. They have been attacking there had been 158 attacks before this one. You knew they were trying to attack our troops. You knew they were trying to kill them. You knew eventually they were going to hit the mark. And now here we are. You had 158 opportunities before this to just get the troops out of Dodge and get our troops out of harm's way so that this situation wouldn't happen, so that these tensions with Iran wouldn't be happening. But you didn't. You didn't do it, Joe Biden. And now here we are. And I hope every American rises up and votes you out of office and embarrasses you. And I hope that there's not a single place in this country where you will ever be welcome ever again. I really hope so. I hope that one day when you're out of office and you've been voted out of office, you go to a local, burger shop. Excuse me, goodness. You go to a local burger restaurant and they kick you out. I hope they do. I hope they kick you out and say that you're not welcome there. And then I hope you go to another store or somewhere else to do your shopping and you're not welcome there either. I hope that there is no place in this country where you are welcome, because that is the level of damage that you have caused to this country. Your border crisis has killed tens of thousands of Americans. There are thousands of families that will never recover from what your border crisis has done to them. And now you want to send hundreds of thousands, possibly millions, off to fight in a war that you caused, that you funded, and that you allowed to happen. I don't know, man. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know where we go from here. But like I said this morning in my previous video, the night is always darkest before the dawn. right when you think that there's no hope, right when you think that nothing could ever get worse. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe as a Christian in a higher power. I believe that God can heal our nation. I believe that he can reform our nation. I believe that he will reform our nation if we just allow him to. You might not believe in that. I truly do. But at this point, what else do we have to lose? Oh, I don't believe in God. Okay, well, you know, what do you have to lose at this point? Look at your country. Look at your country. It's dying. It's falling apart. What else do you have to lose? What else do you have to lose? I don't know, man. Biden's destroyed our country. It's falling apart. I can't really think of anything else that you would have to lose at this point. Just give it a shot. See what happens. You just might have an experience that so many other Christians have had, and is the reason why they believe. Why we believe in God. Why we believe that Jesus died on the cross and was raised again 3 days later. We've had experiences that you just can't understand it until you have that experience yourself. It's up to you, man. All I know is we got a country to save, and we need all the help we can get. But I think we're going to do it. I think this country is going to be saved. I think we're going to win, and I think tomorrow is going to be better. Now, I don't know when tomorrow gets here, when that day gets here where it's better, but I think it's coming. Keep your heads up, ladies and gentlemen. Keep fighting back. Keep speaking out. Keep going to your reps, saying this is what we want. Keep protesting. Keep getting in the streets, fighting for this country. We got to fight. And no, I don't mean literally. I'm not calling anyone to violence here. I'm saying figuratively. We need to fight to save our country. Figuratively. Go vote. Go protest. Go win. We can do it, ladies and gentlemen. We can win this culture war, and we can take our country back. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Gosh, this cough, man. I'm just struggling tonight. Good grief. Excuse me. Goodness gracious. I'm going to leave it there. I will have another video coming for you guys, most likely on Wednesday. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment down in the comment section, and share the show with all your friends. Make sure you follow me on all the socials down in the description and hit that notification bell so that you can be notified whenever we put out new videos. Follow me on Rumble, ladies and gentlemen. I have a Rumble channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, go follow me on Rumble. Make sure that we can fight the censorship that's going on here on YouTube and fight back against big tech. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.